It will. No, 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 no. We're live, but I gotta wait for Insta to catch up again. 1 minute. 1 minute. We're going. Streaming. We are streaming. Okay, we're live on Instagram now. Wow, I'm good at this. I got it. Steve, we're on Instagram, buddy.
TikTok too.
No, TikTok, we haven't been on that in a long time, Steve. But, anyways, we're back on the Outdoor Drive podcast with our good friend Ken D. How are you, Ken?
Doing good, doing good. How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, hanging in there. Working
Yeah,
instead of hunting today, unfortunately.
I know.
The worst.
Yeah.
I know.
What happened there, Ken?
Oh, my job, sometimes I gotta put the hours in when I can get them, and today that happened. So
I know,
back in the tree tomorrow, though.
and you have an absolutely beautiful new property loaded with deer. The cameras are going off, and you have
Yeah,
stuck working.
yep. I'm gonna cut out early tomorrow,
Jeez.
go hang a stand, and hunt it tomorrow and Saturday. So.
Yeah. I if after those pictures that I seen, then I would definitely live in there.
Oh, I got about 4 or 5 different bucks on that camera so far, and two of them are definitely 3.5 or more.
What was your choosing to try and find yourself into that area like that?
Actually, I kind of stumbled on the property, to be honest. The I wasn't seeking it out. My son actually found it. He's in law enforcement and had a call there, and that's how I got to be on the property.
Yeah, I meant like more or less the area that you were hunting.
Oh,
Like,
and on the property itself.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I scouted it, and there's a couple different areas in the property divided by a right of way from EverSource. And
Mhm.
so I'm hunting on the thickest part on one side of that right away. And I just scouted it and I found a pretty good sized community scrape. And so that's what I centered it around. And
Mhm.
all these different deer are hitting that scrape um, daytime, nighttime, both. So,
Hmm. That's good. No, that's absolutely good. Why don't we kick this thing right into four-wheel drive? Why don't you tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about what you do?
sure. My name's Ken D. I'm from North Central Connecticut. And by trade, I guess you could say, I'm a software consultant. I work in the ethics and compliance space. And I'm also a giant pumpkin grower, which I've been doing for over 27 years. And then I picked up hunting later in life when I turned 50. I started hunting. So unlike you guys, I didn't grow up hunting. Like my brother-in-law out in Western Pennsylvania got me into it when I was 50 years old. So
Jeez.
How though? Like How? Why then? Like what did he do to all of a sudden you were like, all right, I'm in.
yeah, yeah. Well, was working on me for a number of years, trying to get me to go out. And so I went out. I think I started in 2017. I went out with him. We sat together in a double, ladder stand, and it was in the winter. We're shoulder to shoulder, hunting with a crossbow, and a whole group of does came in, went right under us, never even blew or anything. And I'm like, wow, this is cool. And then I had another sit out there in Pennsylvania where I was hunting on the ground in a ghillie suit, and I had deer come right up to me, practically, but they have antler restrictions, so I couldn't shoot. But it was very cool to see how close I could actually get to these deer. So that basically hooked me.
Hmm.
So I actually hunted in Pennsylvania before I started hunting in Connecticut.
That's crazy. So in getting into it in your later years of life, like there's obviously like trials and tribulations as you get into that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, I made a ton of mistakes. Are
Yeah.
you kidding me?
Same.
Yeah.
Dude, I
Same.
think I forget what I did the other day in the tree stand. I was getting down and I like bumped something, and I remember saying to myself, "You're such a hack. Like
Yeah.
you're so bad."
It's one of the reasons why I like you guys so much is that you don't like cover that stuff up. You come out and admit your mistakes. Trev's bloopers has been a thing for a very long time.
Oh yeah.
And Steve, you just had a story about him missing a week ago or so on your show. So I know you guys are real, and so that's why I like you. I've learned a lot from you guys over the years.
Well, the thing is that, and especially social media in its most, and especially somebody that's getting into hunting. And Ken, you've probably been through this a million times, where you go in and you watch, and there's like this persona over hunting and how easy it is, and you have to shoot this big buck, and
Sure.
and I bet you it's a tough thing and a daunting thing. I've we've done that, I would imagine, on our own. We've seen all those trials and tribulations. We've watched our fathers do it, our grandfathers do it, and mess up and screw up. Um, but when you watch it on social media and you don't really have a role model, you're like, oh man, you're supposed to shoot a 170 on your first sit, like, you know.
No, I've had some mentors, like my brother-in-law out in Western Pennsylvania. He's helped me a ton. Then I hunt with another pumpkin grower from Connecticut who's a lifelong hunter. That guy Gary I told you about, he's been hunting forever. He's taught me a ton. So from reading sign to putting the pieces together to see direction of travel, rubs, scrapes, tracks, how to downwind side of bedding. I learned that from you guys. There's like all the different sources of knowledge that I've acquired over the past, say, 8 years that I've been hunting. So,
What was kind of one of the big oopsies that you've made while you were trying to hunt in those 8 years?
oh, I'd say one of the biggest ones is setting up too close. Sometimes
Mm.
I'm getting the right distance to a trail or a scrape or whatever, and then not being able to get the shot. So I think a common one is like I learned from you guys and Troy Pottinger on how to do mock scrapes, and so I've been doing that for a couple of years. But if you don't like think about how you're going to hunt that spot, like
Mm.
what tree you're going to be in, what the predominant wind direction is for that spot, if you don't think through all those things, then you could make a great mock scrape, have deer come to it, and not be able to kill them.
Yeah. I used to see that a
So
lot with
so
people with food plots, right? When there was a big which is
Yeah,
kind of dying down a little bit, in my opinion, right? But like there was that huge food plot craze, and everyone thought you had to plant a food plot to kill deer, right? And like, I'm guilty of this myself too, right? Like, there's like already like a little clearing in the woods somewhere, like a section of logging road where you think you're just gonna go out there and scrape it up and clear some
sure.
shit and plant this food plot or whatever, right? Because it's easy, like it's an easy spot, like most of the work's already done for you, and then you realize you're like, there's no tree to hang a stand in, or the wind is never going to be right for that food plot, or my access is terrible for that food plot, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with mock scrapes, right? Like you have to think about like what winds you're going to get most of the time, what tree you're going to hunt it with, on what winds, how you're going to access it. Because if you can have a great scrape that gets hammered all the time, if you can't hunt it, what good
Yeah.
is it really, right?
Yeah. And I've done that with food plots too, Steve. So
Oh yeah, dude,
exactly the
trust
same thing.
me. I know from experience.
Being a pumpkin grower, obviously I'm, familiar with growing stuff. So food plots was a natural first thing for me to try. So I've grown a few of them over the years. So
and 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 I think that's one of the things that's a tough thing, is like you guys were just saying, is find you can put a mock scrape anywhere and you can get a deer to come to it, or you can put a food source anywhere. But the toughest thing is, like, a lot of times, and I find myself, and the reason I bring it back up is that I find myself and I'm like, okay, this is here, and then I wait for that right wind when I could have moved it and put it somewhere. I still do that to this day. Like I could have moved it 100 yards or 50 yards or 40 yards and made it better for me than the animal. I've done it a
right.
million times.
Yeah, I've watched over and over different interviews with Troy, and he, underscores that, and he'll move a scrape if he has to. It's all about setting it up for the right kill day. So
Hmm.
that's a mistake I've made. I'm still learning how to do that best, but I've had a lot of good luck over the last couple of years with mock scrapes. So
So when you were doing the mock scrapes and starting those mock scrapes, were you just setting up too close to them,
yeah, yeah, exactly.
or was it too far away?
Too close. Yeah,
Really?
because if
Was it
Well,
you're
what?
too
was it
close and you got the wrong wind, they're going to pick you off before you get a shot, right?
Yeah. Was it from not having the right trees to select from. Like your options are limited to what tree you could hang
Yeah,
in.
for sure. Yep. Yep.
How what have you found is the best distance away from that mock scrape?
I like to be around 30, 25, 30 yards.
Yeah.
What were you originally doing?
Oh, a lot closer.
Yeah. Well,
15.
well, it's funny,
I,
and I know it's. I asked this for a reason because there's so many times that I run into in scouting or shed hunting. You find a scrape, and then you find a stand, and you're trying to analyze in your mind, like, what was that person thinking?
Right.
How did they think that that was a good idea? Like,
Yeah.
why do you think that putting that stand in that area was a good idea? And maybe it was a good idea, but what made it that good idea? And you try to analyze that in your mind, and you're like, dude, you're in an outsider looking in, right? It's their set, not your set. And you look at it and you're like, dude, you're skylighted. That deer comes
Right.
up the hill, you are right there. Or whatever the case may be, and you look at it and then you try to adapt it and put it into your own scenario. That's why I ask you is like what were you too close? Were you not?
Yeah.
That's why I was because I think that's a huge importance part of it
I just
to
ran into
definitely.
the same thing Tuesday when I went up on top of that hill where the run was coming out of the Laurel. I had a perfect tree, dude. It was like right on top of the trail, right? And like the problem with being too close too, sometimes even if you get that shot off, like that shot angle, like
Right.
you're opening up yourself for being like you could shoot over the top of the front long and just clip the back long,
Mhm.
or or if you're low, you can hit bottom of the front long and just single lung them, right? And it's like, well, shit, I can get in this tree and it's like 12 yards, and then like the next best tree is like 32. And like
Yeah.
I'm like Ken, I like that 25, give or take. 32 is not terrible, but like I took the 32-yard tree over the 12-yard tree.
Mhm. The other problem if you're too close is if a non-target deer comes in, you're way more likely to get busted, if you're that close, right? And so it's
Hmm.
hard to let them walk by without them busting you when you're that too
So
close.
one thing that I've definitely learned and something that I do a ton is, especially this time of year, and this goes with rattling and wanting to understand calling deer and that kind of thing because I'm a little bit more vocal, like, and not this time of year. This time of year I'm kind of sitting, but that late October, first week of November, where I'm rattling a
Hmm.
ton or making any type of noise or motion, when you have a non target deer come in, um, I just, and it blows, right? I'm okay with that because this time of the year, deer blow all the time, right? But one of the things that I do, and I've learned from my mentor, was having a diaphragm turkey call with you
Hmm.
and literally using a diaphragm turkey call, or if you don't, you blow, you grunt snort wheeze right after they blow, you grunt snort wheeze. Now it just makes it as if they were fighting with
Right.
another deer
Right.
or there's other interactions within. um I don't know. I don't know that it works all the time, but it's just something, a peace of mind, because you just like, oh well, it makes you feel better
Well,
anyways. I don't.
one of the things I wanted to show you guys was this call.
Piggly
Oh.
wiggly?
So yeah, let me explain this. So I hunt a lot of private, and almost every time when you hunt on private, there's going to be someone else. So I hunt with another guy and out in Western Connecticut, and there's a bunch of other people that hunt it, and one of them is a woman that is absolute killer. She's been hunting her whole life, and her wall looks like Steve's. Anyway, she one time showed us a video where she used one of these pig calls. It's a little tending grunt, and she's got a video. She's showing us of these deer coming right into it. So pretty much all of us went and got one of these things. Well, that
I actually
doe,
think I know who you're talking about. But
that
go ahead.
that doe, that picture that I sent you from October this year came into this little tending grunts. So I told other hunters that I know that are pumpkin growers, like the picture I sent you guys, a hunter out in Iowa, and she went and got one, sent me that picture from the tree where she wasn't sure about it. Next thing you know, the other picture I sent you, she shot that nice 8-point, calling it in with one of these things.
So what is okay? Can you make any other noise with it, or you just
Yeah, if you
meh,
squeeze
meh, meh?
harder, if you so it's all how hard you squeeze it and the pace. But it's basically if you just go online and you search on deer grunting, and you'll hear these tending grunts in
Yeah,
these
yeah,
videos, and it sounds just like that.
yeah,
So
Huh?
unlike the snortweeds, you're not going to scare a deer with a tending grunt. You're going to get their attention, hopefully, and like that doe I shot came into that.
yeah.
That's so.
Crazy, I know.
Have you ever heard a deer grunt in real life, like from the tree
Yeah,
stand?
yep,
It's such a subtle, like it's if you almost have to have an ear for it because it's not like "Rah." It's
yeah.
not obvious. Like
My last hunt in PA last week, last light, they get half an hour past sunset like any normal frickin' state,
you're
and so
supposed to.
yeah, I'm sitting there and two does came in, not in to shoot, but in my view. And next thing I know, a buck comes off the field, and I hear him grunt, tending grunt
Hmm.
like that, chasing those does around. And I'm like, wow, that does sound like my pig.
Yeah,
What
it
is,
doesn't really sound like a traditional grunt call. Like growing up as a kid with a grunt call, you think that's what it sounds like, and then when you hear it in real life,
Yeah,
it's so much softer and
right.
like I said, you can almost not hear it if you don't know what to. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
it's very subtle.
Yeah, and I think everyone focuses on the grunt tubes where it's the grunt where a buck is angry or going to square off and fight with another buck, right? And obviously snortweeds would be the extreme of that. But the tending grunt is something that gets their attention, and it basically says, "Hey, there's a deer over here," and so they're curious animals, and so even a doe like the one I shot this year came into that thing, and I was like, "Wow, that woman hunter taught me a really cool lesson there."
Yeah. Well, I like the tending grunt too because it's not aggressive, right? It's not that like buck
You're right.
growl or that roar like I'm a big bad buck and I want to fight. The tending grunt is more like a lot of times when they're doing it, they're following a doe and they're almost grunting like every step, right?
Exactly.
So to me, that's telling another buck that might hear that like, oh, there's a hot doe over there and there's a buck on it, and I'm gonna go over there and try to steal her away, right?
Yep. Oh, it's going in the tree with me tomorrow.
so my question is, which one do you buy?
I'll send you a link, Trev.
All right, is it the squeaky dog toy interactive? No, we
Yeah,
gotta find the
yeah. You
right.
don't want a squeaky one. You want the little grunting one.
Trev's up there like, ee, ee.
Yeah. I could send you a link. It took me a while to find it when I got it like a year ago.
The right one. Is it Oink
Yeah.
Oink? Yeah. All right. I wonder if I can get it on Amazon. That's what I want to know.
I
Grunting
do
dog.
this. Do you know how much shit I get Trev to buy where I just send him something? At least two things this week. I'm like, yo, check out what I got. He's like, oh, that's sweet. And I send him the link and he buys it.
Yeah. Now I pack my backpack and it's 300 pounds because it's got so much crap in it because everybody tells me to do one thing. Now, and Steve's big thing was this whole jet boil thing. Man, he got a
Oh, those are cool. Yeah.
Well, no. He got me on the jet boil years ago or 2 years ago. That's no big deal. The jet boil is not the big deal. It's that he got this $15 shelf so I can now bring it with me deer hunting so I can add it into my repertoire of having it with me. And I'm like, dude, you got to be kidding me, man. You got me again. What
Dude,
else?
a nice hot meal at 1 o'clock in the afternoon hits the spot, though.
Hmm.
This this is the average thing. Like when like a guy will pack a lunch right to go to work, and that lunch doesn't make it past 9
Right,
a.m.
right.
That's the problem with the jet boil. I'm like, beef stroganoff or chicken dumplings, and it's like 9 in the morning. Like I can't
Funny.
make it that far. That's the problem with having that stuff with me. So. Oh, well, Ken, the big deal why we had you to come on the podcast is we want to talk about giant pumpkin
All
growing
right,
because that is the truth of the
we
truth.
can do that.
Um, How in the world did you get into giant pumpkin
Oh
growing?
wow! So after I got married and bought my house, I think it was my mom went to like the Big E up in Massachusetts, and she
Mhm.
went to. They have like a giant pumpkin contest there. She bought seeds at the Big E, brought them back. She knew I had a garden at my house. I'm like, yeah, I'll try that. I put them in, started growing them. They took over the whole garden. They like shaded out other crops. I mean, they have like little tendrils that literally wrapped around the other plants and basically choked out the sun. I'm like, man, this thing's impressive. That first year, I grew like a 200-pound pumpkin. It actually grew in my neighbor's yard
Come
because
on.
the vines like took off. So I was like, wow, this is cool. So then I started researching it online, and at the time, I worked for a consulting company that did websites and stuff. And so I partnered up with a guy I work with, and we built BigPumpkins.com, which that was in 1999. So
Wow.
I've had that site for 25 years.
That's nuts. So hold on. Well, I'm gonna take it back. Take it back. Hold on. You just like walked through that whole thing in about 3 seconds. So it's literally as simple as buying giant pumpkin seeds and getting
Well,
pumpkins. Like is okay
there's
because
a
it's
little
not
more to it than that. Yeah.
what I thought.
Yeah. So I mean, you're talking if you want to grow one, you got to start with a good seed. So you got to have
Isn't there isn't doesn't Connecticut have its own breed of, or am I making that up? I thought there was like a
yeah. There's a
strain that
Connecticut.
was.
Yeah, that's called the Connecticut Field Pumpkin. That's actually a different variety than a
It's not a
giant.
giant though.
No,
Okay.
no. So yeah, that's called a hard stem pumpkin. All the giant pumpkins come from Dill's Atlantic Giant variety, which was created by a guy named Howard Dill up in Windsor, Nova Scotia, back in the 70s.
Hmm.
So anyway, all the genetics that we grow now they descend from the Howard Dill seeds of the 1970s. So, but yeah, you got to start with a good seed. Then you need a decent amount of land with full sun. So I typically grow my plants. One plant would be say 900 to 1200 square feet for one plant. You grow one pumpkin on each plant.
So all right. So when you plant that though, when you get more than one pumpkin will start growing, right? You have to pick. You have to
Yeah,
pick like the best one and start clipping
yeah,
the other ones off.
yeah. So the way it works is a giant pumpkin plant grows as a vine, and
Yeah.
so the initial vine is called the main vine. And so what we do is the way it works is when you plant a seedling, and there's two leaves inside the seed called cotyledons, right? They're like an oval shaped leaf. When the first true leaf comes out, your main vine will grow opposite that. So you take that seedling, you put it in the ground, and you point it in the direction that you want your main vine to go. Okay. So then once that main vine starts coming out, there'll be side vines, secondary vines that come off it. So what we do is we train those vines at a right angle. Okay. So it's like a straight line, 90 degrees, the next set of vines on down the line. Anything that grows off of those secondaries, you prune it off. Any pumpkins that show up on a secondary, you prune them off. You're trying to get a pumpkin on the main vine a certain distance out from the base of the plant. Because the plant is basically your factory, right? So you need a certain size plant to grow a giant pumpkin. You can't grow one in a little tiny. So you got to let your plant get to a certain size. So like mine last year, we started our seeds in like early to mid April, and my pumpkin was actually pollinated on June 16th, and then it grew to 1,900 plus pounds by
Jesus Christ.
the end of September.
How far is it from the main plant? Is that a top secret distance?
No, no, it's no, no, they vary. I mean, you don't want to set a pumpkin say any closer than 10 feet out. So mine, I think, was like 18 feet out. So picture a vine 18 feet long and the pumpkin's set out there,
And
and
it's coming out. Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
all these secondary vines between the pumpkin and the base of the plant, the crown. And so I probably had like I don't know 17 or 18 secondary vines on each side of the main when that
Mm.
pumpkin got pollinated. And we control all the pollination so that no bees get in there and bring pollen from some random Hubbard squash or something. So that we know the genetics of the seeds that come out of the pumpkin.
Hmm.
This is just
Wait, how do you stop the bees from pollinating it? Though you got to cover it with
We
netting.
cover it. Yeah, we
Yeah.
cover it. Yeah, we cover it. Zip tie it shut. So we basically take a male flower from wherever pollen source we want. In my case, it came from my buddy's plant. And so then you open up the female flower, pollinate it, close it back up, and wait to see if it takes. So
You're doing God's work, Ken.
yeah, man, I told you there's a little more to it.
Wow. So how would you typically get the pollination? So all right. Hold on, I'll make this easy. So I want to grow a giant pumpkin.
Sure.
I buy the seed. I start planting it, but where do I get a pollination at that point?
Well, a pumpkin plant, Trev, has both male and female flowers on it. So you just need to be able to recognize them. That's all. So a female flower is short stem. It's got a pumpkin at its base. The male flowers have a long stem, and when you open up the flower, the parts are different. You know the difference between boys and girls, right?
Trev, I'm sure at one point in your life you have known the difference between a male and a female plant.
Yeah.
So I could show you.
Yeah, mine might be 10 feet tall though. No.
So even with one plant, you could take male flowers from your plant and then pollinate that.
I mean,
with it.
all kidding aside, though, the first year you did it, you pretty much just stuck some seeds in the ground and you ended up with a 200-pounder.
Right.
Which
exactly.
is a giant. In my world, a 200-pound pumpkin is a giant pumpkin. Now it's not.
Totally fine
It's not
with a 200-pound pumpkin.
doing it.
You guys want to grow a 200-pound pumpkin? I could even give you a seedling next year. You don't even got to start the seed. I'll start it for you.
Trev, me and you should have a giant pumpkin contest. Who can grow the biggest pumpkin?
Grow the biggest pumpkin, and then we're gonna carve deer heads in the front of them and put them on our porch. 200 pounds.
How do you move your pumpkin? What'd you say it was? 1,900 pounds?
1903.5. Yeah, that's what mine was.
What do you use? Straps and a forklift?
Yeah, we use a big skid steer. Yeah. We have these lifting rings that go on top of the pumpkin that have straps that go around it. And then you just pick it straight up with like an engine hoist or, that kind of system.
Have you ever had catastrophic things happen with a giant pumpkin
all the time.
when you go to pick?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of heartache in giant pumpkin growing. They split open. You get like insects and diseases, and there's all kinds of problems that can happen because they're growing so fast. When the growth curve for a giant pumpkin, it will peak. Like mine was like 50 pounds a day.
So yeah, I was gonna say, because you said it was like conceived in June.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's like half the summer's gone.
So it was smaller than my fist on June 16th, and then you guys saw the picture of it at 1,900 pounds, right? It was like 16 feet around, huge, right? So in order to do that, it's got a very fast growth rate, and so mine peaked at like 50 pounds in 24 hours. It did that several days. Yeah.
In like what, 5 months?
Yeah, or even less. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're talking, you're talking July, August, September. So like 3.5 months, you're getting a full size pumpkin. So the world record was just set this year too, over in the UK. And so those guys, these twin brothers from over there, the Patton brothers, grew a pumpkin 2,819 pounds. That's the new world record. And that thing, the pumpkin itself probably went 130 days. That's how old the pumpkin was. But they grew that in quite a system over there in the UK, a very controlled greenhouse.
Oh yeah, I could see that. There's probably all kinds of crazy shit now.
Oh yeah. These guys they're pumping the greenhouses full of CO2 because plants take in CO2 and give off oxygen, right?
Yeah.
What we do. So we've found that in a contained space like a greenhouse, you can pump CO2 in there, and the plant will grow faster.
Right.
And so the science has shown that you can get your plant to size quicker by pumping it with CO2. It actually doesn't make your pumpkin grow bigger, but it makes the plant get bigger faster.
Makes sense.
So there's all kinds of stuff, crazy stuff.
Now, what about fertilizers and all that stuff? You use all that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We use all the stuff we use was water soluble. So we use like fish and seaweed and kelp meal and bone meal and all kinds of beneficial micronutrients and biologicals, as opposed to chemical fertilizers. Over the years, we've learned that chemical fertilizers tend to burn out the plant too quick. And so you need to keep your plant healthy as long as you possibly can to keep the growth rate up. And so that's a big part of it.
Huh.
Now, what about weather? What's good pumpkin growing weather? You want, I'm imagining like too much rain or not enough rain or too hot or Two.
Yeah, there's a saying is that when it rains, it spores, which basically means if it rains too much, you get disease and fungus and stuff like that. So it's all about a balance. So you want full sun, but you don't want it to be 100 degrees. So like 85, peak at 90, that would be perfect. In a greenhouse, you're going to get that anyway. So if it's 85 outside, it could be 100 degrees in your greenhouse, easy. So
Hmm.
ventilation. So yeah, too much rain is bad, but obviously you need water. I mean, these things are 80% water. So we're probably doing we were watering through a watering tank, so we mix all of our fertilizers and stuff in a watering tank and put it down right on the plant. We were doing like 350 gallons on 3 plants every day. So that's over 100 gallons of water a day per plant. And we probably should have watered more.
Thirsty little buggers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That like, and what happens if something goes bad? Like, what do? You can't start over.
Exactly. That's happened to me many times over the years. The last 27 years I've been doing this, I end up going to a way off with I don't have a pumpkin because if you some guys will grow like 4 plants or 3 plants. I typically grow one or two. I've never grown more than two because it's very time consuming to do. And so if you only have two or one, like this past year, I only grew one. My buddy had two, and I grew one. He basically gave me some space in his greenhouse to grow it. So I actually grew that pumpkin up in northeast corner of Connecticut in Putnam. That's where it was grown, not where I live. So I had to commute there too to
Oh
go
my god.
do my pumpkin work. So um,
And you got to be there almost every
I was
day.
there 3 times a week. Yeah, to do the vine burying. What I didn't tell you is when you grow those vines in that 90-degree angles, everywhere where a leaf goes up, a root goes down.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you basically you want to bury that leaf node to make that root bigger. And so every one of those leaf nodes, we bury those by hand. So I mean, knee pads on, hands and knees, creating a pile of soil or product on top of each one of those leaf nodes to promote that root. That's how you grow a giant one.
And that how often they popping those bad boys out? Every day? Every couple
Oh yeah,
days?
my vines were probably growing 18 inches a day. Each
Wow.
vine, each vine could grow 18 inches a day, and you might have 20 on each side. So yeah, when I'd
No.
go there to bury every third day or every second day, and I'd have like 4 feet of unburied vine I had to go bury.
Now back to the seed thing. Is this like a hybrid? Like, is it a crossbreed where they like genetically morph two seeds together? Or is it just genetics over time where they just pick the best?
Yeah, it's more just genetics over time. So when I first started getting into this, like in the 90s, you know, pumpkin growers finally got into the internet. And so people started using computers and sharing information online. And, I think my website played part of that and helping people get knowledge about that. And so what people have done is they've taken the seeds from the best pumpkins every year. That's what gets grown. And so the weights have gone up and up and up. So one of the clubs I'm in is the Southern New England Giant Pumpkin Growers. If you go to sngpg.com, there's a chart on their site that shows the top weights, how they've gone up over the years since the Howard Dill days back in the 70s to present day. And so right now, the big goal is we're trying to get to 3,000 pounds.
And what
So
they grow in the UK this year? 20.
2819.
Oh.
so what would they do? Would they buy the seeds from that pumpkin?
So the way it works is um, like the seeds that came out of my pumpkin or any seeds that came from a pumpkin that was grown this year. They have certain genetics in them. So, in other words, what seed did you grow it on? What pollen did you use? So, for example, mine was the mother was from a pumpkin from Rhode Island that weighed 2465, and the pollen came from a pumpkin that was 2198. So, obviously, all over 2,000 pound genetics. Well, my seeds, though, they just came out of my pumpkin. They're called unproven. Until someone actually grows one, it has potential, but it's not proven yet. So what
Mm.
happens is some of those seeds from last year will get grown next year, or they're already being grown right now down in the southern hemisphere. Okay, so down in Australia, New Zealand. So they're opposite seasons from us, right? So if you harvested your pumpkin quick, you could send it down there and have a seed grown in the southern hemisphere so that you can figure out is it going to be good or not. Anyway, once a seed is proven and it has a track record, the rest of the seeds from that pumpkin go way up in value. For example, the prior world record was grown in Minnesota, and it was grown off a seed from New York State that was 2365, but a grower by the name of Andy Wolf. Well, that seed, the 2365 Wolf, has grown many, many pumpkins over 2,000 pounds. So it's the most sought after seed in the game right now. And I'm talking people will pay $1,000 for that seed.
And for how many seeds do you get?
One. One with
What's the germination rate of
no
that?
guarantee of germination either.
But what would you say, like the percentages, like chances of it germinating?
Well, it's based on age, but if it's within 5 years, I'd say the percentages are at least 90.
When was that?
One
When
bag,
was the
one.
wolf grown?
Let's see, that was probably 4 or 5 years ago.
Dude, this is cool stuff here. So is your 1,900 pound seeds? Are they in the southern hemisphere now? Like your seeds
No,
for this year?
no, because I did the carving, I didn't harvest my seeds right away.
Yeah.
I didn't, because once you cut the pumpkin open, it'll start to rot relatively quickly, and so I wanted to get the carving done. So I mean, the woman that carved it drove up here from Maryland. She's from Maryland. She came up and saw my pumpkin when it was growing. So I asked her if she wanted to carve it. She came up and did it. But so the seeds didn't come out till late. So my seeds are actually still drying at home right now.
So they're not gonna be proven. You're gonna have to wait till next. Now, are you gonna use your seeds next year?
Yeah, I'm gonna grow one. Yeah.
You're gonna prove them.
Yep. And I
So
got
so
a
what did
bunch of
you?
Hey,
people
Ken, you send me one of those seeds. I'll prove them for you, bud.
I'll send you a seed, but not that one.
Well, how many seeds do you get out of that bad boy?
Well, I didn't. I got around 200, but some of them are hollow. So I need to basically go through all of them and see which ones are good. So I don't
Yeah.
actually know the total of good ones yet.
So
Man,
there's a return on.
What was that, Trev?
There's a return on investment.
Yeah. So what happens is once a seed's proven, like Andy's wolf seed, for example, that means people are like, hey, this seed has grown all these pumpkins over 2,000. I want one of those. They're going to pay more for it at auction, but it's gives them a higher chance of growing a big one, especially if you're only growing one plant like me. So I used a seed, the 2465 Sperry from Rhode Island. Well, the year before, it grew a 2,600 pounder for a guy in New York State. So
Off of,
So
and it's all.
wait, hold on. I'm so confused now. So is it almost like a bloodline of like a good gun dog or something like
yeah,
that? So like
exactly. Yeah,
you
yeah,
so I'm just gonna throw random numbers and names out there. So if there was a 2600 from Rhode Island, right? That now has seeds, but that 2600 came off of a 2500 from the year before out of New York, so you could
yep,
trace it back.
yes,
Basically,
exactly.
your pumpkin has like parents and grandparents and
You got it.
all that stuff.
You got it.
Holy
We have
shit!
entire websites dedicated to tracking the genetics in these seed lines. Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about heavy yet.
What's that?
So heavy is a genetic trait that everyone wants. So heavy means we have a measuring system where we measure the pumpkins and estimate the weight. Like I probably told you guys over time, like, oh, my pumpkin's estimated at this current weight right now. Well, anyway, so heavy means when the pumpkin actually gets weighed, it weighs more than the estimate. So if your pumpkin was estimated at 2,000 pounds and it weighed 2,500, that seed has got a crazy heavy, thick-walled genetic line. That's desirable because you win contests by weight. It's not by physical size or anything else. It's all about weight. There's an old saying that says, "This ain't no beauty contest."
Oh yeah. Well, once they start growing, they just kind of grow. There's really nothing you can do about it, right? Like it's gonna just take its shape of its own.
Yeah, I mean, there are some things you need to do as far as positioning the pumpkin relative to the vine. If you don't do anything, like if I just give you a seed and you guys throw it in the ground, it could snap itself right off the plant. So you need to actually move the pumpkin back and keep the vines in a certain orientation. Otherwise, that could happen.
So looking back on it now, that first one, that 200 pounder you grew the first year, was it just shit luck?
Oh
Because
yeah.
I
Oh
don't
God.
imagine
Oh yeah.
you just basically just threw it in the ground and said, "Well,
I,
good
I
luck."
I had no idea what I was doing. Yeah.
So you can go to the Big E and buy giant pumpkin seeds.
Yeah, you can go. You can go on my website and get giant pumpkin seeds at auctions. Like so, the auctions actually Saturday night. I have a meeting on the of all the clubs from around the world are going to be on my website, and what they're doing is they're all their names go into a hat, and they're basically in a drawing to book an auction date. So all winter long, we have seed auctions Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, every single weekend on my website. And so what the clubs are doing is they're auctioning off seeds to raise money for their way off prize fund for next year.
Are you the
What is the
auctioneer?
No, each club has to provide their own
I know, I'm just
auctioneer.
joking.
So I am the auctioneer for my own club, but the other every club does their own.
How?
Can you be an auctioneer? Are you an actual auctioneer? Like one.
No, it's all in it's in text chat. It's in chat. So
This
What?
is fun.
How
and
are
I can
these seeds? What do you got to do to keep these seeds, preserve them over time?
cool and dry. So the two things that are enemy of your seed would be moisture and heat. That's because that's how you sprout a seed. You need heat and moisture. So
Yeah.
in order to preserve them, you keep them cool and dry. So or you could actually put them in a freezer. Some people will do that.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's and what do they like? How much have you ever seen a seed go for?
I forgot the record now. I think 1,200. Definitely I've seen several go over $1,000 for a seed, but I can't. I don't have that kind of money. I can't spend it on a seed.
So what's an average? Like what's a good seed worth?
So like this winter, so brand new seeds, unproven, like my own, you could probably pick up anywhere from say 20 to $50.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Now, if you want a proven seed, though, then the prices go up, right? So if you obviously a 2365 Wolf isn't going to happen. There's not a lot of those out there. But if you go back just 1 year, if you try to get the seed I grew, 2465.5 Sperry, that's probably going to cost you, $100, $200.
So
how
what
many?
is the big? Go ahead, Steven.
How many seeds? I know this is a loaded question, but like about how many seeds would come out of a 2,400 pound pumpkin that are like not
Well,
hollow and worth selling?
yeah. Well, I mean, there's no standard. So at the fair I went to, I weighed my pumpkin at the Durham Fair, and the second place guy is a buddy of mine from Higginham, and his pumpkin was over 2,000 pounds. First time he grew a 2,000 pounder. He opened it up. It had 15 seeds in it that were good. That's it.
Wow.
So you don't know. So mine was like somewhere around 200. My buddy in the same greenhouse, his were like more like say 400 to 500 per pumpkin, and he has two of them.
How big was his pumpkin?
Actually, that's a very funny story. his smaller pumpkin finished right behind me at Durham, and it was like 1,700 pounds. His big pumpkin stayed in the greenhouse longer than mine, and it ended up being weighed in Rhode Island. It weighed exactly the same as mine, 1903.5. It's the freakiest thing. So him and we grew exactly the same weight to the half pound.
Wow.
It's nuts. I have no explanation for that.
And he had way more seeds than you.
Yep.
Wow.
So it's really luck of the draw.
Yeah, you don't
because
know. Yep.
you could grow the biggest pumpkin that you've ever grown and get 15 seeds out of it.
Yep. That's what happened to Ryan. Yeah. Yep.
What's the biggest pumpkin you've ever grown?
This is my personal best, 1903.5. It's kind of like there's some things that are comparable with deer hunting. So I'm not going out there to shoot a world record whitetail, right? I'm just trying to do better than I've ever done before.
The best
right?
you can do, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So pumpkin growing is a lot like that, and so you're competing with yourself, right? Because like say for example, I got buddies that grow giant pumpkins up in Vermont. Well, their growing season is shorter. Their winter they got frost. A lot of times they get frost early September. Right. And so you're competing with yourself in a lot of ways. And so I look at, hunting the same way I look at pumpkin growing in that I'm not competing with you guys. I'm not competing even with my buddies. I'm competing with myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
I think That's a great outlook
Yeah.
because you can only shoot the biggest deer that's on your property, and that's
Yeah.
and that's what I tell everybody. You can only shoot the big. You can't shoot anything bigger than what's already
Yeah,
there.
there's a thing. So I went to a pumpkin convention last winter up in Green Bay, and so we were in the airport in Chicago, and I saw a couple pumpkin jackets. So I knew these guys were growers. I hadn't never met them before, but I knew they were from Ohio. Okay, so we sat there and talked to them in the airport, and these are two guys, father and son, that are big time giant pumpkin growers and big time whitetail hunters. These two guys are in this Venn diagram. They've grown over 2,000 pounds and shot over 200 inches. They've done both. That's where I want to be. So in order for me to do that, I got to go somewhere else because there's never been, I don't think Connecticut's ever had a 200 incher, right? How big was Tom's buck last year?
There's been 200 inchers.
Yeah.
Oh, there's 200. Yeah,
TJ,
the muzzleloader.
TJ, what's his name was 200.
Pretty rare, though. Pretty rare.
Yeah, with 207 was the muzzleloader state record for a long time, and they're. I mean, yeah, but it's not like Illinois, Iowa,
Ohio, yeah.
Ohio.
Let's put it
You know,
this
like
way: you got a better chance of growing a 2,000-pound pumpkin.
I'm so close already, dude.
You'll get it.
Yeah.
You get
You'll
it.
get it.
Next year. You're gonna prove you're 19 and you're gonna get a 2307.
Oh, that would be sweet.
That's cool
It's
though.
a lot of work.
It sounds like though, like you could luck out and you can make some money off of some seeds if you grow it, if you break 200 and get a bunch of seeds, or 2,000 and get a bunch of seeds.
Yeah, some guys sell their seeds like that, and they I'm sure they do fine. They make money.
At least get some money back, because I'm sure it's a hobby, right?
So what I do is I donate. I donated. I promised anyway. I didn't get them yet, but I donated seeds to my club. So they're going to go auction those seeds along with a bunch of other ones from other growers, and so that's going to help raise money for our prize fund for next year.
Right.
And so I've had other clubs ask me for seeds too. So I'm donating to several different clubs.
And that's what I thought. Like when he was saying you can make a bunch of money, and I was gonna say it's probably a club thing, right? Like where the clubs they'll use it against it. Because like what is all right? Maybe not the money on the seeds, but like if you win first place in your way off, what is the prize for that?
Oh yeah, and it's all over the place. So I made like $800. So in finishing third place at Durham, and I won the award for the prettiest pumpkin. So all told, it was like $800. But the guy who won the former world record that was grown in Minnesota, he drove that pumpkin from Minnesota to Half Moon Bay, California. And so why would he want to do that? Well, the guy who won Half Moon Bay this year won $21,000. So every way off is different. So the biggest pumpkin, the new Connecticut state record was grown this year too, and it weighed 2507, and it was weighed in Topsfield, Massachusetts. So he won like 11 grand. That guy, a friend of mine. So that's the Connecticut state record right now is 2507. There was actually a bigger one there from Connecticut, but it split. It had a hole in it, and that was also a buddy of mine. 25.
So what happens? What happens? What if you have a split?
So any damage like that on the pumpkin, you're disqualified. So it doesn't count.
The slightest bit of damage, or is there like a certain, like they have to judge it? And
if there's any, they're judged. So if there's any hole that goes into the cavity, automatic disqualification. But if there's some, like say you had a mouse chewing on your pumpkin, that's damage. But as long as it's not rot, then it'll be fine. Then that's not going to disqualify you.
Because of cheating and that kind of stuff, where they're like adding
some like them walleye fishermen.
Yeah, exactly, exactly like that. Yeah.
You weighting down your pumpkins with some lead weights,
or water,
filling it full of water.
Yeah, because then it's unproven at that point, right? Like it's
if it's got any holes, it gets disqualified. So,
Now my question is, do the deer eat your pumpkins?
Hell yeah. Yeah, where
do people have problems?
Where I'm growing, I didn't have that problem, but lots of growers do though.
That's how you grow 200-inch deer. They eat them giant pumpkins.
Yeah, that's right.
Goes right to the horn.
Yeah.
Yeah, some places the deer have a taste for them, and they'll go after them quite a bit.
Specifically, just for the giant pumpkins.
Well, they'll go after anything, but once they get a taste of it, then you can't. It's hard to get rid of them. Like I know I have buddies that have big problems with deer, and they have to put up 6-foot fences and stuff.
Especially a pumpkin that's going to cost that much for a seedling,
Well,
right?
I mean,
And you put all that time and
a
effort.
woodchuck could take you out too. It doesn't need to be a deer.
Yeah, rabbit,
Yeah, because
chipmunk.
you're looking at a plant that grows a vine, right? So if that main vine gets chewed on, like in June, you're done. That's it. See you next year.
Can't start over
No, not in
neither.
June. You can't.
Oh,
It's too late,
gee.
right? It's too late.
Ken, is there anywhere around here? I saw a bunch of videos because it's giant pumpkin season, right? Where they were like doing cool shit, where they were like lifting them up with cranes and dropping them on cars and
Oh
stuff
yeah,
like that. Is there anywhere around here that does that?
yeah. We dropped one on a car at Durham.
Oh, really?
Yeah, every year they drop one on a car at Durham.
Oh, I got to do that next
We
year.
drop one on a car in Rhode Island too. So I go to a bunch of different way offs, and so I go to Durham and Woodstock, and I go to one in Rhode Island. I go to Topsfield. So every year I do all the data entry for 4 different way offs in New England, and so at 2 of those 4 they drop pumpkins on cars.
Remind
what
me
do
next
we?
year when you're going to do that. I want to
All
see
right,
that
sure.
because I saw the videos. I actually, you know what? Now that you mention it, I might have saw the video from Durham.
Yeah, yeah. I was there. I
Yeah,
was there that night. Yeah,
I want to see that.
we need to go hang out with Ken and giant
Yeah,
pumpkins. That's way cooler than the things I do at the fair, like walk around and eat shitty
you
food.
guys
turkey
should.
legs.
Yeah, you guys should come for sure.
I like the Durham Fair.
Oh,
That's one of my favorite ones. I haven't
Yeah,
been in
Durham's
quite a
cool.
few years, but that's probably my favorite.
Yeah, I won that fair in 2011. I had the state record in Connecticut twice, and once was back then in 2011. So this pumpkin I grew this year actually was the biggest one I've had since then, since 2011. So I grew one in 2011 that was 1487 and a half. Actually,
And it was the state. So at the and 2011, 1400 was the state record.
yeah, can you see that?
Yeah.
yeah.
So 2011, 1400 was the state record.
1487. Yep.
And this year you grew 1900 and came in third.
I didn't even win the way off. Never mind the state record. Yeah. Yep. You got it. So you can see how much the weights have gone up since then. Yeah.
How much has like technology changed it too? Like computer analytics and
Oh, a ton. There's guys out there with soil monitors, and they're
moisture.
moisture, the temperature. They're keeping track. They're doing tissue testing now, which basically is they take some leaves off your plant, send it to a lab, and they can tell you what you're deficient in. And so then you can actually change, and try to manage the nutrients in your soil
pH and all that stuff.
in season. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. pH definitely got to keep track of that. So.
Hmm.
But yeah, soil testing, tissue testing. There's a lot of technology and all that, and of course, automation with cameras and controlling water systems to apply moisture when you need it and not when you don't, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's probably all Bluetooth and everything. Guys at work,
yeah.
like changing the settings and all that stuff.
A lot of guys are high tech now. Yep.
So how far out are we from a 3,000-pound pumpkin? Do you think?
I would not be surprised at all if it is in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
2-3 years tops. Almost
then,
happened this year.
Then what is the stepping stone to that after that? Like, where do we try to go after
when
that?
I first started, Trev, there was no 1,000-pounder yet.
Really?
So they're like, oh yeah, there's no one's going to grow 1,000 pounds. Look where we are now. Oh yeah, it's crazy.
So,
like when I first started this, so I got the Connecticut state record the first time in I think it was 2002. The state record was 776 pounds, right? And it was grown by a guy that I know from Tolland. And so I grew a pumpkin, weighed 840 pounds, and I named her Wicked Wide Wilma, WWW, because of the website. That was a state record in 2002. That's the first time I had the record.
Well, what was it?
840.
Wow. In 2002.
Yeah. And then in 2011, I got it a second time at 1487. And now the Connecticut state record is 2507.
So at that time, no, you're talking 1,000-pounder. You're not talking about Connecticut. You're talking about
at any of them, yeah.
In the world.
Yeah. Yep.
So when was the first 1,000-pounder, and where was that?
Sears, maybe it was. I can't remember what year that was. It goes back quite a ways, but the first one in New England, I think, was grown by one of my buddies, Steve Connolly. But yeah, well, I mean, I have friends that all over New England that have had world records. Some of the big milestones. Ron Wallace grew the first 1,500-pounder. He's from Rhode Island, buddy of mine. I hunt his property too sometimes.
We don't Hey, we're behind the curve, Steve. We're not making it to world or state records. It's but we're 200's a good cutoff for us, guy.
But the cool thing for me was I with the website I've met people from all over the country, and I've come to realize that a lot of them hunt, and so now I have contacts and stuff with all over the place that people that I could go hunt with, which is real cool.
That's awesome. Now, again, I know this has probably changed because everybody's probably doing everything indoors with greenhouses and controlled climates and all that stuff. Before those days, was there like a region or was there like a mecca where like it seemed like all the biggest pumpkins were coming from like a certain state or a certain part of the country?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's really hard to grow a really big one in the south because it's too hot.
Uh huh.
So if you look at the state records and you look at our geography in the United States, growing down like maybe as far north as Virginia is where it starts to get a little bit easier. Anything south of that is like Texas, real hard to grow a giant. I mean, the record in Florida is a lot lower. It's just way harder down there because of the weather. And
Yeah.
so like where we are latitude wise and up into lower Canada, all the records were kind of in that space there.
Do we? Because we have the longest growing
Yeah, you
period.
need a longer growing season, but you also has to be a little bit temperate and not too hot because it just
Yeah.
they just the plants can't take that kind of heat.
Now the
Yeah.
same all the way across the country though, like heading west,
Oh
like
yeah,
the whole
there's
Midwest and
yep. Pacific Northwest is a good good growing. I have buddies out in Oregon that grow 2,000 pounders on the regular. Um, every place in between too.
they probably just have to battle more moisture, right? Too much rain
Yeah,
is
but
the worst thing.
there's certain bugs and stuff that we have over here that they don't have over there. Like the squash vine borer is a bug that lays eggs on your vine like individually, and when it hatches, it bores into the vine
Yeah.
and it can basically cut off your the flow of your nutrients. And so they don't even have those over there on the West Coast.
That's nuts. What made you carve your pumpkin, Ken?
Well, I've seen a bunch of really cool carvings over the years, and of course, I'm addicted to hunting. So I I said, oh, let me combine these two together and carve the buck that I want to shoot into my pumpkin. And of course, I have no skill with that, so I had to have someone come do it for me.
That's
and
awesome.
and a friend of mine from Maryland, she came up and carved it. So
That's nuts. So you called her up and you're like, hey, listen, I just carved my biggest.
yeah, well, she had come up for our early way off at the Woodstock Fair. She's her and her sister grow giant pumpkins. They came up to Woodstock a couple of years ago, and I met her for the first time. Well, this year they came again to Woodstock, so we got to talking. They were showing me all their deer pictures because they're both hunters. These two twin sisters. Um, so anyway, come to find out, a grower from Iowa told me, which is where one of the sisters lives, that that this woman was a great carver. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna ask her. And so she loved my pumpkin because she had came up and saw it during when it was still in the greenhouse. And so I kind of just tongue in cheek said, hey, do you want to come carve it? And she's like, really? I'm like, yeah, if you want to come carve it. She's like, I'm doing it. And so she came up to do it. And she did a fantastic job.
What did she use? What
So
did she use for tools?
She used like really small hand tools, like a melon baller or a
Oh
vegetable
yeah.
peeler, a sharpened, some small knives, sharpened spoons, stuff like that.
Oh wow. I was thinking like power tools, like like
No,
Dremels and stuff.
she did it
yeah.
all by hand. She carved for like a whole day. Actually,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be putting a time lapse video of it because
Oh,
I put a GoPro up on a ladder, like kind of aiming down at it when she was carving. So I got like 1,200 frames I got to put into a time lapse video.
that's awesome.
That's
When I do, I'll send you guys links.
so. Yeah. So when they do, you were saying that they do an early weigh-in at and it's like, what do they just estimate what it
No, no,
is?
no. There's different way offs throughout the growing season. So our first one is the Woodstock Fair, which is Labor Day weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so anyway, they came up for that way off.
Yeah, but you can't bring the pumpkin here.
No, yeah, you can. Sure. She brought her pumpkin on a trailer and got it weighed in Woodstock.
So hold on. You cart. So hold on, hold on. So you grow this pumpkin,
Yep.
at, and then you cut it off the
But
vine, and then you just start bringing it around to
no,
fair
no,
to
no,
fair to
no. You can
fair.
only any individual pumpkin can only compete in one fair. So had I picked my pumpkin for Woodstock, I would have been all done right there. So I didn't bring any pumpkin to Woodstock, but this
Oh,
particular
I got you.
grower from Maryland brought hers up, and then
I
her sister
understand.
actually grew three of them. So she grew like 1,000 or 1,100 pounder at Woodstock. She had a 1,300 pounder and a 1,500 pounder out in Iowa.
So she brought a 1,500 pounder all the way here from
No, no,
Iowa.
she brought an 1,100 pounder here from Iowa.
Drove it out here on a
Yeah,
trailer.
yeah, yep.
What would be the significance of checking it in here just to check
Well,
in
it's more
Connecticut?
of a family thing because her sister was coming up from Maryland. Because
Oh,
in
got
Maryland, there's no way off at that time of year, and her basically there's an issue with her plant, and the pumpkin needed to get picked. So if that
Mm.
happens, you got to have a place to bring it. So so twice in 3 years, she picked her pumpkin early, Labor Day weekend, and brought it up to the Woodstock Fair.
Oh, I got you. So then I understand. It all makes sense now. And then while she was up here, you brought her over to the greenhouse to see your
Yeah, it
pumpkin.
was actually after the Woodstock Fair because the pumpkins stay at the fair on display, right? And then they have to come back and get it after the fair. Well, when you're in Maryland, she's not going to come back. So we took the pumpkin home to my buddy's house for her, and she came there, which is where I was growing, right? And that's where she picked her pumpkin up. Her and her mom came up from Maryland at that. So then once we got her pumpkin loaded for her, so she could take it home, she went and saw my pumpkin and my buddies in the greenhouse and got her picture taken with it, stuff like that.
Okay, that all makes more sense now. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? How do they do it? Yeah, all right. That makes absolute more sense. And how long can they be off the stem for?
They start losing weight right away. Like they'll lose a little bit of water weight just through evaporation, but they can last if you don't cut into them. They can last quite a while. Like I've
Mm.
seen a giant pumpkin last till Thanksgiving or even December.
Huh?
But once you cut them,
That's super.
that's why I didn't cut mine right away because I wanted her to carve it for Halloween. So she came up Halloween week and she just stayed at my house for a couple nights and she spent an entire day carving that thing and she drove back to Maryland the following day.
Wow. Huh.
That's so awesome.
That's super.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm blown away. All giant
The
pumpkins.
people that are in this thing are just great, dude. You wouldn't believe it. They're just such nice people that I've met by doing this. It's crazy.
It's it's one and the same as the hunting community.
Absolutely.
Once
Yeah. Yeah.
start to learn and understand and talk to
Yeah.
people. You have your naysayers too,
Of
right? I'd
course. Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah.
Ken, make sure you remind me next year because I want to come to some of these things and I'll forget. So you got to remember to like
All
reach
right.
out to me and be like, hey, don't forget next weekend or what day? Because like I know the Woodstock Fair is like 4 days, isn't it? Or
Yeah.
because of the holiday.
But
Yeah, you got.
the weigh off actually takes place before the fair starts, so it's
Yeah.
during the week.
Okay.
So this year I think it was like on a Wednesday night. So yeah, you guys should
Hmm.
definitely come. You could as a
Yeah, you
guest
got to
of
remind
mine.
me though.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I would love to check it out and see it because I think it's just super fascinating. Like something else that you do in the outdoors,
Right.
Like it's cool. I don't know. And then what do you do with them when they're done? Like you just throw them
No,
away and
well,
like.
I got mine carved and went on display, and my buddy sold his to. They were on display at a different breweries in New England. There's like a chain of breweries that buy them, and they put them on display during the fall. There's a way off up in Maine. Every year they have a regatta, so they take the pumpkins, they cut them open, make boats out of them, and race them.
That's
Come
awesome.
on.
Where's this?
It's up in Maine. So if you do a search on pumpkin regatta online, you'll see it. Some crazy videos. And someone just set a world record somewhere in the Midwest where they made a boat. He went like I don't know how many miles down a river with it. I've seen them with motors on them, just paddles, all kinds of stuff like that.
Public land access.
Yeah, that's right, like an e-bike.
Does that count as baiting?
I think it would.
What are you
Travis.
talking about? Sir, I drove it here.
I got to admit, that might be a little cooler than dropping it on a car, but I do want to see him drop one on a car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
Wow.
I actually took one time years ago. I mean, this was like back, I mean, it had to be like 2000 or something like that. I had some cull pumpkins. So pumpkins that were just, I don't know, 100 pounds, under 200 pounds. I brought them up to a radio station up in Massachusetts and we blew them up. They like put charges in them and blew them up. Explosive.
That's so.
Yeah.
So you grow cold pumpkins,
Yeah.
just like cold
No, it was
deer.
just a cull. Yeah. Like, oh, I'm going to cut this one. It's not competitive. So I just brought it up there and we blew it up on the radio.
That's awesome. Cause they so off the main one they'll have other small ones and
Yeah,
then you
you're
can
supposed to cut them off early and not let them get big because they're taking energy away from your big one. But I didn't know what I was doing back then.
Ken didn't even care. He's like, oh, look at this one. Right?
Yeah,
Like,
how many can I grow on one
Here we go.
plant?
that's so cool. That's so awesome. I
That's-
think it's the coolest.
I was muted and I didn't even know it. That's because you want all the water and nutrient and everything that you put into that plant to go to that one pumpkin, right? Like
You got
if
it.
you have, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Huh.
And the guy I grew with this past year taught me even more techniques than I ever knew before, like as far as pruning goes and how to not waste energy by prune it when it's really really small. Don't let it get like 2 feet extra long and cut 2 feet off. Prune it when it's right at the very end. So I'm still learning.
Well, that's probably the cool thing about growing with somebody else because not everybody gets to grow with somebody else so
Yeah.
that you look and it's like me we all three of us can talk about our mobile hunting skills, but until you actually hunt with that person,
Yep.
then you don't understand how they do it. Like, oh yeah, I put my sticks on this part of my backpack, or I put the stand like this, or I shoot like that, or until you're with somebody physically.
Or even like evaluating sign and looking at someone's opinion on how to set up on that sign, right?
Mm.
And so I'm sure you guys might do it similarly, but that's the kind of thing I picked up by going in the woods with other people. The mistakes I made, right? And so by going out with someone else, you see, okay, we're all looking at the same sign, or if I miss something, the other hunter would point it out. But then we talk about, okay, what do I do with this information, right? So I see a rub. Which way was the buck coming from? What's the predominant wind here? How do I set up on this deer trail, right? Why were they here? Is it because there was acorns here and now there's not? That kind of thing. And so you pick that up by bouncing ideas off other hunters.
That's crazy.
Pumpkin growing is a lot like that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Well,
there's a lot of ways to kill a big buck. There's a lot of ways to grow a giant pumpkin.
Yeah.
Mm.
Steve, we have to have a giant outdoor drive, giant pumpkin growing contest, and then Ken can.
Oh, I don't know where this is, but Oil Can just sent me a YouTube video, pumpkin chucking. They got like catapults and they're like launching them into a lake or something.
Yeah, I've seen that too. Yeah.
We got to come up with cool things to do with them, right?
Try doing that with my 1900 pounder. You need a big catapult for that one.
I don't even know if they.
How big was the one they dropped on the car at Durham?
1100.
Wow.
Yeah, it was actually Buddy's pumpkin that was weighed at Woodstock, and then so now Durham is actually later than Woodstock, so they took it after that fair, brought it to Durham, and dropped it on a car.
That's awesome.
Isn't it a pumpkin, like a potato launcher? There's a pumpkin launcher or something. It's in Virginia.
Probably. I don't know. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I saw it. I was down there hunting one time and I saw the thing. It's huge. It's like a bazooka for pumpkins. And they shoot pumpkins.
Yeah, regular pumpkins though, right?
Yeah, typically they shoot smaller regular field pumpkins out of those stuff like that. But
yeah. That's crazy.
Well, this is fun.
I guess we learned.
I really enjoyed this conversation. I did. I was looking forward to it.
We learned a lot about pumpkins.
Well, it was fun for me too, guys. I mean, I've been following you guys for so long. It was so cool that you guys had me come on. So.
Yeah, no, it's a long time coming.
Hopefully, we actually kept a listener, and they didn't phase out.
Well, Oil Can's still listening, so there's one.
Yeah, there's intrigued list of a handful of people that have come in and out, and I'm surprised nobody's really asked any questions, but we've kind of answered.
We
We've
we
asked them all. We were on top of it.
we've really done a good job lately of having people being like, "What are you talking about this week?" But we don't really care. We just talk about whatever we feel like talking about, right?
Right,
Like
right.
we're interested in giant pumpkins, so we're talking about giant pumpkins.
Yeah.
It's it is what it is. Like it's cool. You need some monotony to break it up, and we still want to have fun, and that's what it is. And we want to support Ken and what he does because he supports us. So I want to hear about giant pumpkins. How's that? I don't really care.
That's cool.
Don't like it? Go somewhere else.
Yeah.
There's a play button.
Yeah.
Well, when I shoot a big buck, I'll come back on and talk about that.
Ken, you've shot a couple of really nice
Yeah.
bucks, and we didn't even get to that point, but we wanted to hear about pumpkins. That means that you get to come back. So what we're gonna do
And
is
go ahead, finish.
no, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have Ken come back on when we can do it virtually and like sit down and hang out.
Oh, that'll be cool. Like when you get your,
non-virtual,
your studio all
we'll do
done,
it
that'll be
for-
fun for sure.
Yeah.
That's right. We'll do it in person.
And I don't want to like push it too hard, but don't forget about the luck of the podcast, Ken. So
Absolutely.
you came on the podcast at a pretty good time of the year to come on the podcast.
I'm gonna go sleep one tomorrow.
That's what I'm saying.
There's two big bucks fighting in front of his camera.
Today, yeah, in daylight, yeah.
So this podcast drops. It don't matter. The luck will work. Luck will work.
Yeah, the luck will still work.
You guys will be the first to know.
We'll book you. We'll just pencil you in 2 weeks from now. You'll be back
I'll
on here
text
talking
you
about
from the tree.
That's right. We'll be there to drag. What are you talking
might
about?
be.
We're ready. Yeah. Ken, I know you've been waiting for this moment, but what drives you outdoors, my friend?
Well, I actually been thinking about this quite hard. So, well, the first thing that drives me outdoors is I've been working indoors for 35 years, and that drives me outdoors. No, but really, the going out there and watching the woods wake up in the morning, all the animals just still every single time I go out, it just amazes me. I hear owls or different wildlife, whether it's bears or hearing that turkey gobble. We didn't even talk about turkeys, but all of that stuff still just amazes me, and I'm addicted to it now. So I spend a lot of time in my job indoors. I can't wait to get back outside all the time.
So my question too, and I know, and I'll add to that, is like starting hunting in later in life. Has hunting changed your life from what it was before to what it is now?
Without a doubt, undoubtedly. I think about deer hunting or hunting in general all the time now, compared to I didn't even know what I was missing, right? And so now it's like my life pivoted quite a bit, and so now I'm always planning about when am I going to get out next? When am I going to scout? When am I going to shed hunt? Turkey season's about to start. Now I got a shotgun. I got a rifle. I got all these different things I never had before.
Yeah. And what did your wife say? Because you're married to your wife for so long with no hunting, and then you start hunting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure she's pretty amazed, but she played part in that. I mean, we've been married for 29 years, and she grew up in Western Pennsylvania, so hunting is a way of life out there. All her brothers hunted. Her dad hunted. The first day of rifle season, there's no school out there.
Right.
It's like that, and so she grew up around it. But then I don't know if she realized like how deep I was going to go down the rabbit hole.
So she knew the routine. Okay. She knew what was going on before you knew what was going on.
Exactly. Yeah.
She was like, I know where this is heading.
Holding into.
And I just came back from out there hunting with her brother, her younger brother, and so he's helped me a lot too. He's taught me a ton. So
how was it out there? I didn't really hear any.
It was tough because the weather was not very good. I mean, I went out in the rain and we had 30-mile-an-hour winds, and so it was tough to be in a tree. So there's a few sits that didn't happen because of that.
Yeah,
but
probably the same weather we got here, but the day before. So was it like what day was it?
So my first full day of hunting out there was Thursday.
Yeah,
and so and the first time ever, actually, the first time I've ever passed on a shooter buck in Pennsylvania, because Pennsylvania is a 1-buck state. And this was a 2.5-year-old 8-point that came in, and I elected not to shoot and it was probably the best deer I saw the 4 days I was there. But I mean, if you look at my wall, I mean, I have deer of that caliber already, and so
Mm.
like I said, I want to do better, and that I want a 3.5 year old or better, and that deer didn't fit it, so I let him walk, and I've never done that before. So, and I've learned that from Steve, I'd say, because I hear, over the years been listening to you guys, and I know what you're after. You're after a buck of age as well. Maybe not this year, but
Well,
most
I mean,
times.
I think it's just a normal progression, right?
Yeah,
Like, yeah, in the early years, you just take what you can get, and then after a certain amount of time, you're like, well, I've shot a lot of those. I want to shoot something a little bit better, and then you shoot a couple of those, and then it's like, well, I want something a little bit better, and
right.
after time, you can kind of be. I mean, you can almost plateau, which is where I feel like I'm kind of at now, where
Yeah,
it's like, man, what I really want is really few and far between. But I mean,
yeah.
it's just part of the process, really, right?
Well, I mean, I haven't. I mean, I've only been hunting, for 8 years now. I started when I was 50. I'm 58. I've killed a dozen deer or so, a handful of turkeys, but I'm older too. So I mean, I'm compressing that into a
Mm.
tighter time frame. I don't have a whole lifetime, to hunt. I see some of my friends that are older than myself, and you start to physically go down as you get older, and you can't hunt the same way. Like
Mm.
if you look at, I mean, last year I did 44 sits last year.
Phew.
That's pretty hard, I'd say, right? For a guy, in
Yeah.
his 50s, right? Now this year my number of sits is way down, but it's mostly work related, not due to any physical problems or anything.
Right.
But yeah, I saw a ton of deer out there. I had a great time with my brother-in-law as always. But I saved my tags. I'm going back at Thanksgiving
Sweet.
with the rifle, so we'll see what gets done then.
Was aside from the weather, how was the actual how was the sign out there? Was it similar to what you're seeing in Connecticut, or?
Yeah, it was less than I've seen in past years for
Yeah.
sure. Um, I saw plenty of rubs. The scrapes, some of the scrapes like that I've seen in past years were not there. They weren't
Yeah.
open.
It's
Um,
crazy.
so there was kind of the same. And then while I was there, we started seeing them scrapes get opened, and so it was picking up. In fact, my brother-in-law just sent me a picture of a shooter buck on one of his cameras because we're using the reveals and we share each other's.
Yeah.
If I don't like text him, and say, "Hey, I saw this buck," he's going to tell me. So,
Yeah.
so I share my cameras with him, and he shares his cameras with me. So, pretty cool.
I started doing that with my dad this year with one of the cameras. It's like the only property that we hunt together. So I I actually had two reveals on that property, and I downloaded the app for dad and signed them all in and showed him how it works or whatever. But when it's a shared camera, you don't get the notification.
Yes, yeah,
And so dad has to physically like open up the app, go and look for the pictures, right?
yeah,
So I get the picture right away.
right.
So I'll get a text from dad like a day later. It's like, hey, you see that buck? Yeah, I knew it was there the second it was there. Like you just saw it. You're about 2 days late, buddy. Like
Yeah, he's
it's
in the
so
freezer.
funny.
He's in the freezer now.
It's so funny though, but yeah, it's fun though. Sharing cameras is a fun thing though. It is
Yeah,
cool.
your dad's a cool guy. I love that he got that moose, man. That was awesome. That episode.
Yeah.
That was a cool
Well,
hunt.
we should probably talk about this off air, but fuck it. Whenever you're ready to head north with us to bear camp, you let us know because
All
dad
right.
dad throws your name out there all the time.
Oh,
He's
does
like,
he?
hey, remember that guy? Who's that?
Yeah,
What's your buddy? What's your
yeah.
buddy's name there? We talked to him at the Springfield Sportsman Show there.
Right. Yeah.
You,
Yeah.
you, you should have him come up to bear hunting. I'm like, all right, I'll talk to him.
I'm, I'm waiting for us to bear hunt in Connecticut.
The
Yeah,
only the only problem bear camp would be for you is it's probably hard for you to get away for a week in first week of June with your pumpkins.
Yeah, I don't grow every year though. I mean, I do take
Really?
years off. Yeah, yeah.
Might be worth it for Big Bear.
what he's saying is he wants to go bear hunt. That's
Hey,
what he's saying.
open invite, Ken. You're welcome to camp
Cool.
anytime.
Appreciate that, Steve.
Well, Ken's going to be back onto the podcast in no time because he's going to have the luck of the podcast. And actually, it's funny is Ben Stanton just jumped on and he says, "Yeah, I had the luck of the podcast. I shot a 150 the last time that I was on."
Oh,
So
I'll take that.
And that was what within a week or two of being on the podcast, right?
yeah, for sure. Yep, he shot 158
Well,
150-inch 8-pointer.
Wow,
So
nice.
Ken's going 160. I know
we
that.
don't usually disclose who's the
Predict?
guest is like next week or whatever, but just so everyone knows, next week I'm going to be the guest on the podcast, and
Yeah.
and I don't know what we're going to talk about, but I'm just looking for some luck.
Hey, I'm the guest too,
That's
Steve. Me
right.
and you are the guest.
Trev, man, I'm gonna drag your ass to one of my spots. How's that?
You know what? It's funny is I was thinking about this today, and I was sitting in the stand, and I don't know. It's one of those years where I don't know if I'm gonna. I might. I'm a little itchy on the trigger this year,
Yeah.
so anything's about to happen. To be
How's
honest,
that
with you.
any different than any other year?
I just love killing things. I'm sorry. Okay, I love killing
Actually,
things.
it's funny. You mentioned Ben. Me and him actually had a conversation right after he was on the podcast. We were talking about shooting spikes, and I was like, "Bro, I
Yeah.
might drill one this year just to drill one."
Trophy
And
spike.
I could have shot that one last weekend, and now he's a 1-pointer. He'd be better as a unicorn though. Get him
Yeah.
Euroed.
Well,
Yeah.
well, my biggest thing and the reason why I want to pull the trigger is I have an empty freezer.
Yeah.
I lost my freezer over the
Oh,
season, and then I shot a doe. Actually, I shot two does, but lost one. It's just this whole or damn it. So I've had a spike horn and a 4-pointer go by me. So if a 6-pointer walks by me, I'm shooting it because I know it's gonna happen. So whatever, it's all good. But Ken's gonna shoot a monster tomorrow. And he's gonna need us to come and drag it. So
I will let you
that's
know.
all that matters. Well, make sure that you guys go and check out Ken at all the fairs with your giant pumpkins. Ken, we cannot thank you enough for being a valued listener and someone who's followed along since day one.
Way
We
back.
appreciate the heck out of you, man. And we can't wait to have you in studio and actually hang out and have a podcast after you shoot your
Oh,
giant.
that'll be
So
cool.
make sure to go check out Ken. And for everybody else, thanks for taking the ride right here on the Outdoor Drive.
Awesome. Good. Great job.
That was fun.
Great job to you.
Huh?
No, great job to Ken.